I used to believe my life was quiet in a good way. Not empty. Just steady. I woke up early every morning. Made coffee. Listened to the same sounds in the kitchen. The hum of the fridge. The kettle clicking off. My wife would come in a few minutes later. Hair still messy. Half awake. She would sit across from me. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we didn't. And that felt normal. Comfortable. We had been married for 10 years. Long enough to stop proving things. Long enough to stop performing. We knew each other's routines. We knew the silences. There was safety in that. I trusted it. I went to work. She went to work. We texted small things during the day. Nothing emotional. Nothing dramatic. What do you want for dinner? Running late. At night we watched shows we barely followed. She leaned against me. I didn't question it. I thought this was what stability looked like. Not passion. Not excitement. Just life moving forward without resistance. I never felt afraid. I never felt suspicious. I never felt the need to look deeper. I believed calm meant secure. I believed silence meant peace. That belief lasted longer than it should have. The first thing that changed was not her behavior. It was mine. I started noticing pauses. Moments that felt slightly off. Not wrong. Just misaligned. She would answer questions a second too late. Not because she was hiding. But because she was elsewhere. I told myself that was normal. Everyone drifts. Everyone gets tired. She still laughed at my jokes. Still asked about my day. Still touched my arm when she passed me. So I stayed quiet. But I felt a new kind of distance. Not physical. Emotional. Like standing in the same room but hearing sound through a wall. At night she fell asleep faster. Turned away more often. Not every time. Just enough for me to notice. I didn't ask her about it. I didn't want to name it. Naming things makes them real. Instead, I adjusted. I talked less. I observed more. I watched how she held her phone. How she smiled at messages that weren't from me. Still, I found explanations. Work stress. Family issues. Normal distractions. I trusted her history. I trusted our years. Trust is quiet. Doubt is loud. At that stage, doubt was only a whisper. And I was good at ignoring whispers. Time didn't make things worse. It made them clearer. I noticed patterns. Not dramatic ones. Small ones. She started taking longer walks alone. Started showering later at night. Started guarding moments of privacy that never mattered before. When I asked simple questions, she answered honestly. Too honestly. Her voice didn't shake. Her eyes didn't move away. That confused me more than lies would have. I began to feel like an outsider in my own routine. Like a guest who stays long enough to notice the rules changing. Still, I said nothing. I didn't want to accuse. I didn't want to be wrong. I replayed our past in my head. The hard years. The good years. I reminded myself that we had survived worse than silence. But something inside me started preparing. Quietly. Without my permission. I slept lighter. I listened more closely. Not because I wanted answers. But because my body sensed something my mind refused to accept. Trust doesn't break suddenly. It thins. And mine was getting thinner every day. One evening we sat across from each other at dinner. No music. No TV. Just us. I watched her hands. They were calm. Steady. I realized then that whatever was happening was not chaos. It was controlled. That scared me more than panic ever could. She wasn't acting guilty. She was acting resolved. I asked her if she was happy. She paused. Then smiled. Yes, she said. The pause stayed with me. Long after dinner ended. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I was anxious. But because I was alert. Like my mind had shifted into a different mode. Observation instead of comfort. I didn't confront her. I didn't check her phone. I waited. Because deep down, I knew. Whatever truth was there would come on its own. And when it did, I wanted to meet it calmly. The realization didn't arrive as a moment. It arrived as weight. I started carrying it everywhere. To work. To bed. Back home again. I accepted that something had changed permanently. Even if I didn't know what. I stopped imagining the future. Stopped planning weekends. I stayed present. Too present. I noticed how often she wasn't fully there. How her thoughts left before her body did. That was when I understood. This wasn't about betrayal yet. It was about absence. She had already begun leaving. Emotionally. Quietly. And I was the last one to notice. Once I accepted that, fear faded. Curiosity replaced it. I watched without anger. Without desperation. I wanted to understand. Not to prevent. I thought about my own role. My routines. My predictability. Not blame. Just reflection. I wondered when comfort became distance. When safety turned into invisibility. I didn't hate her for it. I didn't hate myself either. I simply acknowledged that we were no longer standing in the same emotional place. That acceptance changed everything. The day she told me was ordinary. No tension. No build-up. We sat on the couch. She spoke slowly. She didn't cry. I didn't interrupt. She said she had feelings for someone else. Not passion. Not obsession. Just connection. I nodded. Because by then, it wasn't a shock. It was confirmation. After she left, the house felt larger. Not lonelier. Just quieter. I moved through rooms slowly. Touching familiar objects differently. I missed her. But I didn't chase her. What we had was real. But it was finished. Now, time has passed. Not enough to forget. Enough to breathe. I don't regret loving her. I don't regret trusting her. Some stories don't end with lessons. They end with understanding. And sometimes, that is enough.